Hi, this is Bino. I'm going to do a termination knot called the anchor hitch. What you want to do is put your rope through your carabiner, do a wrap, a complete turn. You're going to bring it around the standing part of your rope and then feed it right back through the wrap. And once you do that, now you're going to snug it up, cinch it tight, and there you go, the anchor hitch. There's the front and there's the back. I'm going to do another termination knot. It's called the Buntline Hitch. You want to put the rope through your carabiner, go upward and wrap around. You're going to wrap around and go through the center here, and once you go through there, you're going to make it tight and you're going to cinch it down. Now you're going to double check to see it's correct. When you lift up, you'll see a clove hitch connected to the long part of the line, and the bottom of the clove hitch, the tail end, will be on the bottom. That's how you know it's correct. Buntline hitch. And then you cinch it up. I'm going to tie a double fisherman's knot. It's a good termination knot. You'll put your carabiner through. You'll go upward and wrap twice downward. One. Then you go two. Now you're going to bring the tail up in through both and back up. You want to have at least 3 inches of tail, and then you're going to cinch it down to your carabiner. It's a great termination knot. Double fisherman's bend. There you go, front and back. Here's a tree climbing knot. It's a good stopper knot. It's the figure 8. Make a bite in your line. Then you're just going to go around your bite and back in. And there you go, a figure 8. It's a good stopper knot. I'm going to show you how to do the sheet bend. It's a good knot to send up to a rope to a climber. What you want to do is get a bite in your line. Then you'll get your other rope, go through the bite, go around it, and then you're going to straight across the bite. Now you're going to tighten it up, snug it, drop to one line. Now it's ready to be sent to the climber. Sheet bend. I'm going to show you guys how to tie the quick hitch. It's a good knot to send a rope to a climber. So what you want to do is make a bite in your climbing line, and here's the other line. You'll throw a piece over, put your thumb on it when you do that. With the other hand, you're going to go through the bite, grab the short tail, and bring it right back through. And now you're going to snug it up, and now it's ready to send to the climber. Once the climber gets it, he'll pull this tail, and it's ready to go. A real quick tutorial on a tree climbing knot, a bowline. It's a good loop knot. What you want to do is make a loop in your line, use the tail, come up through the loop, around the standing part of the line and back into the loop, and then you cinch it up. There you go, a bowline, front and back. Really good knot, and it's easy to break apart. There you go. Say you've thrown your rope over the tree, it's way up high, or maybe you're gonna pull down the tree. You could do it that way too. So if you were on the ground and you threw this up and say I'm gonna tie this and I'm gonna make a notch cut and drop the tree, so I would just make a running bowline. So you'll make your loop just like the regular bowline, and normally we'll just go like this and go around and come back, right? So the difference is, instead of just going through that loop, I'm gonna go around the long part of that rope. Right over here, I'm going to go around the long rope. Now I'm going to go through the hole. I'm going to forget about the long one, and now I'm just going to do it like a regular bowline. Go around that rope and go back through, pull it snug, and I've captured the long rope through the loop. So now what you would do is pull it up to the top of the tree, and now it's secure. I'll be tying a bowline with a Yosemite finish. To do that, I'll make a loop in my line, just like the regular bowline. I'll send my tail up through, go around the long part, bring it right back in. Instead of going straight down, I'm going to go behind the other one, and then I'll follow it through on this side. Come up through the back. Once I got that on, now I'm going to get the long part of the rope, and I'm going to tighten it up. After I do that, I'll get the next one and snug that up. And that's your going to do a rigging knot, the clove hitch at the end of the line with a couple of half hitches on a horizontal branch. You're going to throw your rope over in the same direction, go over again, and go straight through the center. That's your clove. And then you're going to back it up with a half hitch. There you go. It's good for rigging. I'm going to do another clove hitch. It's a good rigging knot, but this time I'm going to do it on a vertical branch. So I'll put the long part of the rope on this hand, and I'll use the shorter end here. I'll pass it around the branch. When I do it, I'll use a short rope to hold it up. I'll go around in the same direction and snug it up. And that's your clove, and back it up with a half or a couple of halves. This is a real good rigging knot. Clove hitch on a vertical branch. I'm going to show you guys how to tie a good rigging knot called the cow hitch. What you want to do is throw your rope over a horizontal branch. You're going to go around your rope, throw the other end back over, and then slide it right back in through here, creating what looks to be a girth hitch. Once you get that set, now you're going to do a couple of half hitches. Now this is a good rigging hitch. There you go. Cow hitch with a couple of half hitches. I'm going to show you guys how I tie the Alpine Butterfly. I use a 3-wrap method. I put my hand here and go once and then twice. Then I get this first piece, I throw it to the center. Then I get the next piece, I go over both and back through the center of them. And then I'll grab it and snug it up. And there you go, Alpine Butterfly. It's a real good midline loop knot. You can do canopy ties and a bunch of other types of things with it. There you go. I'm going to do a munter. To do that, you'll make a loop in your line and do a twist. Then you're going to get your carabiner, open it up, go through the loop, connect to that piece of the rope. Now you're going to put some pressure on it, and that's your munter. You want the long part against the back of the carabiner, not the gate. To do that, I'm going to put a bite in the rope. I'm going to line them up together, two bites, and then what I'll do is I'll take this tail, I'll go around the outside, and then I'll bring it up through the bite, and I'll make it tight. And then what I'll do from there, I'll switch hands and I'll get this tail and go through the other side of the bites. And once I do that, now what I'm going to do is tighten it up, and you have a Zeppelin Bend. I'm going to be tying the blakes. To do that, I'll throw my rope through the becket of my clip. I'm going to tie this anchor hitch up through. Here's the anchor hitch. And with the tail of the anchor hitch, I'll use this as my bridge. I'll do 5 upward wraps. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I reach the top, I'll go over, under the bridge, and once I get under the bridge, I'm going to raise the 2 bottom wraps and slide the tail through, snug it up, tie, dress, and set it. Got to put some weight on it, and now I'll do a figure of 8 on the tail as a stopper knot. That's your blakes. I'll be tying a tautline hitch. I already have my rope tied with an anchor into my clip. To do the tautline, I'm going to go to my rope, and then I'm going to do a downward wrap, and then 1 more downward wrap, and then I'll cross upward, and then I'll do another downward wrap and another downward wrap inside. And so what I'll do is create almost like a glorified clove hitch, where the tail comes out this way and your bridge is on this side. You got to tie, dress, and set it, some weight on it, and then you'll tie a figure of 8 as your stopper. There you go. And that's your tautline hitch. Tying a blakes with a split tail. So I'll put the length of my bridge maybe close to a foot. I'll do 5 wraps upward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I get to the 5th, I'll go over my hitch, go over the hitch, around the bridge, and then up 2 of the wraps. Once I do that, I'll tie, dress, and set it. Once I get it tied, dress, and set, Make sure that it's tight. Put a little weight on it. Once I put the weight, I'll do a figure of 8 as a stopper. There you got it. Blakes on a split tail. I'll be tying a self-tending Blakes using a split tail. So wrap upward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I get to the top, now I'm going to go around my bridge, and then I'll go through the bottom 2 wraps of the Blakes, tie, dress, and set it. Get a little bit of tension on there. I'll pull down some slack, and on this side, on my up line, I'll make a loop as if I were going to do a bowline. I'll get the tail of the Blakes, send it through, go around. Now all I would need to do is pull the rope and it'll tend my line. Self-tending Blakes on a split tail. I'll be tying a Blakes on a short split tail and using a pulley as a tender. So I'm going to make my bridge really short, and I'll go up 5 wraps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now once I reach the top, I'm going to come over here, go over the short bridge and back around. I'm going to pull a couple of these out, these loops, and I'll send my tail up through. I'll tie, dress, and set it, get some weight on it, make sure it holds. I'll do my figure of 8, really close to my hitch. Now I'll grab a pulley, put it on the line, and then clip this on. And now when you're using this Blake system, you can tend a lot easier. I'm going to tie the Prussik hitch. So to do that, I'll get about a foot long of a bridge. I'll start doing some counterclockwise downward turns. So I'll do 2, 1, 2. Once I do the 2, now I'm going to go up above the bridge and do 2 counterclockwise downward turns. So I'll go 1. Here goes the next 2. And once I do that, now I'll snug it up. Get some weight on it. Once I get some weight on it, I'll do a stopper knot, a figure of 8 on the tail, and I have that. And that's your Prussik hitch. One of my most favorite ways to tie my throw bag is to use an anchor slip, and this is how I do it. I'll throw the line behind my ring. I'll make 1 complete wrap. I'll go around the long part of the zinget line, and I'll throw, instead of the end, I'll put a little bite through there. Once I throw the bite, I'll snug it up. Then I'll go ahead and throw the ball up into the tree. When it comes down, all I have to do is pull this little piece here, and it comes undone. And then I'm ready to tie my zinget to the rope. I'll be tying a Klemheist with a Prussik loop. So to do that, I'll start at the top. I'll get the top end, or this loop end here, with a bite, and I'll go 3 wraps downward. 1, 2, and then 3. Once I get to that 3rd one, now what I'll do is with my other hand, I'll hold it together. I'll put the other end through the bite on top, and I'll pull it through. Let me rotate it so I can get that bite to the top, and then that's your Klemheist. I'll be tying a Knut with a 30-inch cord. To do that, I'll put the Prussik cord behind the rope, and then I'll do 4 downward wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I'll do is with this bottom part of the cord, I'll create a bite. I'll leave the tail behind the rope. I'll cross this top over the front, and with the back tail, I'll slide it through. and then I'll pull it. So we're going to even the leg out, and then you'll set your pulley on your rope. You'll get your carabiner through the eye of the Prussik, through the becket of the pulley, through the other eye of the Prussik, and that's your Knut. I'm going to tie the distal with the 24-inch cord, and with this one I'll usually use 4 wraps. So to do that, I'll get the length that I think I'm going to need, and then I'll just start wrapping downward. 1, 2, 3 wraps. Now with the top one, I'm going to go across, and then I'll just going to enter from the other side, and I got to make sure the legs are correct, you know, got to have them equal. So now I'm going to, okay, there we go. So that's about equal right there, and you can see it's the same makeup, but there's 3 on top, 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th is the bottom, and you still have the cross, so it looks somewhat like a tautline. That's what it looks like in the front, and this is what it looks like in the back. I'll be tying a Schwabisch with a 30-inch cord. To do that, I'll put my cord behind my climbing line. I'll do 4 downward wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I get my 4th one, my lower tail's going downward. I'll cross the top over the lower one, and I'll go around my climbing line and back through, and then I'll tie, dress, and set it. Now that's, once I get that, I'll get my carabiner, pulley. I'll go through the eye of the cord, through the becket of the pulley, and through the other eye. Just put weight on it. That's your Schwabisch. I'll be tying a Valdotain with a 24-inch cord. To do that, I'll put my cord behind the climbing line, and I'm going to do downward wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I do that, I'm going to cross over, and then I'm going to connect to the opposite side. Get my carabiner on and the pulley. Go through the pulley and through the other eyelet, and that's your Valdotain. I'll be tying a VT with a 30-inch cord. Here we go. I'll start by putting my Prussik cord behind the rope, and then I'm going to wrap downward 4 wraps. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I've wrapped downward 4 times. I'll take the top part of my cord, I'll pass it over the bottom so I cross it, and then I'll wrap the braids downward. You want the tails to be about the same length. You'll get your pulley, put it below, and then you're going to get your carabiner, the becket of the pulley, and back to the other eye. And that's your VT. I'll be tying the XT with a 30-inch cord. To do that, I'll go behind the rope with my Prussik cord, and then I'll do 4 downward wraps. 1, 2, 3, and here's the 4th. You try to make the tails equal. Instead of crossing over like I would with the VT, I'll cross downward, and then I'll do the braids after that. Next, I'll get my pulley, set it up on the rope, and then with my carabiner, I'll slide it through the eye, through the carabiner, and then the other eye. And that's the XT. There you go. I'll be tying the Cornell Hitch with the 30-inch cord. To do that, I'll put my Prussik behind my climbing line and go downward 4 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I get there, I'll get the top of my line, I'll come across the front of my climbing line, back around in front of my Prussik, and then I got a cross right here. I'll bring it through the cross, and then I'm going to snug it up. Once I snug it up, I got to make sure the legs are the same length. I'll get the pulley on. Got my carabiner through the eye of the cord, the becket of the pulley, and back to the other cord. Put some weight on it. That's your Cornell hitch. I'll be tying the catalyst hitch. To do that, I'll get my cord behind my climbing line, and I'll wrap downward 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I get to this point, I'll make a bite on the bottom line. I'll cross the top one over the front, and with the bottom line, I'll go behind my rope, back in through that bite, and I'll bring it up, back and through. And now I got to line my tails up, or my legs, get the pulley, connect the pulley on, get the carabiner through the eye of the Prussik, through the becket and the other eye, put some weight on it. That's your catalyst hitch. I'm gonna start here on the top. I'll put my hitch cord behind the line, and then I'm going to work my way downward, doing 3 wraps. 1, 2, 3. When I get to the third, now I'm going to cross this the top one over the bottom, and then I'm going to bring the bottom one around and slide it through the, kind of like the top, almost like a bridge. And so this is what it'll look like when I'm finished. And like you want the legs to be equal, the front side and then the back side. It's, it's correct when you have one going out the front, one leg, and then the other leg's going out the back.